Hi everyone, Megan with Mogul Realty Group here, eXp Realty, bringing you the Vancouver market update for the month of May. So, want to get into what really is happening in our city in Greater Vancouver, so Vancouver proper and all of the outlining areas, and really how it impacts you as investors. What's going on in the market, what we're seeing, what are some opportunities, and yeah, how can we find some great investments? So we're going to get right into it here. The month of May 2023 here. So what we're seeing here is things are starting to increase here. This is the third month in a row that we have seen an increase in sales as well as active listings. So we're down quite a bit year over year in sales, but this is the third month in a row that we've seen that slight increase. Same thing with our listings. We're down year over year, but again, more stuff is coming to the market here. Sales and active listing ratio here. So this is something really interesting. We are seeing a ton of properties flying off the shelf in that townhome segment. And I'll go into average sale price here and something that we're going to dive into a little bit with that missing middle. And I think that's why we are seeing the townhome segment really just there's a lot of demand and not a lot of supply there. So sales to active listing ratio, anything beyond 20% is really considered a seller's market. So you've got 40% of townhomes that are hitting the market that are selling, which is huge. Same thing, a huge number in that apartment category as well. So, and I think this is why. So all residential, our benchmark sale price is just over 1.1 million. Again, common thread here, we're still down slightly year over year, but we are seeing those slight increases month over month, which is a good sign here. But you'll see a huge gap between our benchmark sale price for our apartments sitting at just over 750 all the way to our detached properties sitting at 1.9 million there. And that's something that's really been the talk of what's the city of Vancouver right now is something called the missing middle. Because as you can see here, there is a huge gap between the apartments at 750 and your detached homes. So you can see your high-rise apartments, average sale price is 750, and then those detached, that's a huge gap. And what this missing middle is talking about is that huge missing in those duplexes, townhomes, low-rise apartments, because for a buyer to go from that 750 price to 1.9, that's a way too big of a gap there. And I think that's why we're seeing all that townhouse inventory really get eaten up there. And so there's some proposals and things in place right now to really increase the supply, increase the affordability, increase affordable options, and really speed up the development process, because this is an issue in this city here. So the missing middle, what this really allows for communities to do is the density. It allows for like more walkable communities when you're seeing those duplex townhomes, low-rise apartment buildings. Think of like some areas in East Van, there's coffee shops, there's all your types of amenities there. And what we're seeing here, this map shows the population change over time. And we're seeing in those higher price point areas like West Point Grey, we're actually seeing a negative population growth because people can no longer, the older homes are getting torn down and then new stuff is getting built. And it's just, it's too expensive for the average buyer here in this city. So as you can see by this map, all of the outline there in yellow is actually zoned single family. So what you can put on these lots is a single family home. So it might be a home with a suite and then a laneway. There's not a ton of options to really develop further than that. So people are left getting those detached homes, or they're in the downtown peninsula in those high-rise apartments there. And so not adding this missing middle and has really contributed to this negative population growth that we've seen in a lot of these areas here. And so what the proposal in place, it's this multiplex plan, is proposing this. Currently, right now, you'll see on the left here, a current standard lot, single family lot, is 33 feet by 122. And right now you can put a house with a laneway on there, and the proposal now is up to 6 units, and that can be configured in different fashions. But what this is showing is it's a suited duplex, so front back duplex with suites in the basement, and then a laneway with a suite as well. So it's now you're now getting 6 units on that lot where you previously only had three or 4. So it's a huge opportunity for you guys as investors, is to be a part of how Vancouver grows. We're working with a handful of clients right now that if this proposal gets passed, they want to be ahead of the game. They want to be ahead of that curve, buy up those 33 by 22 foot lots in a really great location with an older property that can be redeveloped when that plan goes through. And even if it doesn't go through, there's still a lot of value in still redeveloping these properties. Another thing that's going on right now is Vancouver is weighing out just exempting the new home tax for vacant properties here. It's contemplating this exemption for newly constructed properties that are unsold because they're just sitting empty. And so supporters are arguing that exempting the unsold condos will encourage developers to reduce prices and get their properties sold quicker. And I think the ideal situation here is having a time frame, because yes, we don't want these properties sitting empty. We want people to, purchase and move into them, and, to be able to impact that demand there. It's been reported that building permits are now back to the 12-month average, which is still pretty crazy. It was taking upwards about 18 to even 24 months to get a building permit. And it's rebounded back, and just due to the demand and favorable market conditions. Challenges are still absolutely present with supply and obviously rising costs here. But an interesting thing that is happening in Kelowna right now is they're developing this AI tool to speed up the building permit applications. And it's basically the proposition is that this AI tool will almost be able to instantly grant building permits, and it's going to be trained to do everything, to know the bylaws, to know all the regulations, and it will even go as far as to actually have a back and forth with you as the developer to make sure that things are up to code, in line with all the regulations and everything. So it's pretty cool what we're going to be able to see in the future, especially for something that it's a huge thing to be able to hold a property for that 12 to 18, 24 months while you wait for building permits. It's a huge consideration for you guys as investors there. So this could potentially be a really great, really great tool. So we'll see how it goes in Kelowna as the test pilot there. And just another interesting article here. There was a lot of kind of backlash about this on the site and on social media and everything. And we're seeing a lot of this right now. Is, I think, more so right now than in previous years, is that we're seeing a lot of tenanted properties that are on the market, that are being listed, that landlords want to get rid of. And I think the biggest reason is because of the rental rate restrictions, and landlords are now, their hands are tied because their mortgage rates the interest rates are rising, their costs are rising, and they need to cover cover the cost of owning that property. And so their hands are tied because they're not able to raise the rent. And so that's what this article is alluding to, that this landlord went to this tenant and said, agree to this 40% rent hike, or we're going to sell your home. And you definitely feel bad for the lady, but that's or any tenant in that matter. But that is one of the things that we are seeing. And I think, I've had previous conversations with tenants. I think if you're getting below market rent right now in Vancouver or the lower mainland, is have a contingency fund, bank that extra money that you are saving in rent and put it towards a contingency plan. Maybe it's a down payment on a home, or maybe it's, in the event that your landlord sells, to put that towards, your rent when it increases, because it's this constant battle of tenant versus landlord, of regulations versus free enterprise. It's affordable housing versus, landlords need to be compensated for rising costs. And so we are seeing, quite a few tenanted properties getting sold. Landlords just need to liquidate them because they can't do anything else. And so I think for us as a team, we always look to have the conversation with our investors of like, how can we strategize? The market's always going to be changing. We can't control necessarily government regulations. So how can we create a plan that's going to help protect your investment? And maybe it's selling properties, maybe it's flipping properties, maybe it's looking for properties in those more transient areas like schools, where you're going to have tenants that are the likelihood of finding a 5 or 6, 7 year tenant in an area that is close to a school is less likely, maybe up at around SFU. And I think we can all be part of the solution to this, to creating affordable housing options. And I think looking at developing, purchasing lots in that kind of helping that missing middle is going to be a huge opportunity for you guys as investors. And so I think that's what we have to continue to focus on, is regardless of what's going on in the market, regardless of what's going on with the government and regulations, is how can we be a part of the solution to what's going on and help create viable investments based on that, which is all what we here at Mogul Realty Group love doing, is being creative and strategic and finding you guys great deals regardless of what's going on. So looking forward to connecting. Please reach out, and looking forward to connecting and chatting next month.